the whole thing about seed germination. Okay, so we have seen first the types of seeds, okay, and their process of germination. Then we also studied about the structure of seeds. We did studied about the condition required for germination. Am I right?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So, have you gone through your textbook for this, the content? See, whatever chapter we are doing, you should remember that you should read the textbook thoroughly for it. Okay. So, if not yet, just start doing it from today, and because there sometimes there may be something or some lines or some words are there uh, which doesn't come up with the explanation. Okay, so if you have the doubts, if you don't understand them, then you can ask me. Is it clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So let's then summarize this chapter first of all. So you did studied. I think last time I told you to you can have the experiments at your home. Have anybody of you tried it?
Yes, miss.
You tried it. Okay. So you got the results.
Yes, miss. The tray which was out germinated, but in the fridge it did not germinate.
In the fridge, it did not. Okay. Fine. And have you noted down the results for them?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So, see, I think if you have gone through the experiments, then just see to it that you just read about those conditions from your textbook. Okay, and basically, the process of germination when it takes place, and we studied the major one, that is epigeal and hypogeal. Epigeal and hypogeal germination. Okay, so for that we studied about the example like pea, maize, and even the beans, castor seeds. All these we have studied, and in your textbook, three seed germination is also shown about. I think the diagram, the pictures which are given, they are for pea and beans and maize. All three germinations are shown in your textbook.
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So the type of germinations are epigeal and hypogeal. So as we have gone through the structure of embryo, the most important part for this germination. Now remember this, whenever you have a prefix in bio, this one, epi, that means upper. Okay, And if you have hypo, that means below. Okay, so biology, whenever you are reading, so you should remember these prefixes and suffixes thoroughly, because many of the words you can relate very easily if you are good with the terms. Okay, and GL is nothing but the earth. Okay, so above the upper or above any of the term you can utilize. So what option? Okay. So upper or above the earth, and below the earth, GL, here also it refers to the term earth. And we studied that then in the embryo you have epicotyle and hypotyle. You have these two regions in embryo. Okay, and
Yes,
here also epi on the upper side, hypo on the lower side. But remember this, that whenever these two are present, they will never elongate together during the germination. Okay, never. Only one of them will elongate first. It will attain its growth, then only the second one will be following it. Okay, so the basic difference for this is that if epicotyle, suppose if we take for the epicotyle, if epicotyle is elongating, okay, if this one is elongating, okay, then cotyledons, what happens to the cotyledons is, okay, they remain underground. Remember this part, that uh, if epicotyle is elongating very fast, then cotyledons will remain underground, and this type of germination is called hypogeal germination. Okay, basic difference between these two. So see, the thing which is elongating is epicotyle, but the type of germination is hypogeal. Can you relate with this?
yes,
Are you
miss.
getting? Okay. So never get confused that epicotyle is elongating, then type of germination is epigeal. No, it should be, the terms are reversed over here. If epicotyle is elongating, the type of germination is hypogeal. And if hypocotyle is elongates. Okay. And if it is elongating, then the cotyledons will be pushed, okay, above the ground. Therefore, germination is like epigeny. This is the basic difference between hypogeal germination and epigeal germination. Remember this, it will be easier for you to understand the types of germination. Is it clear to you now?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So examples definitely for hypogeal germination like pea, gram, okay, and for epigeal you have castor, bean, okay. So all these examples also you can consider if you have to write the differences between apigeal germination and hypogeal germination. The first difference you will obtain from here only. Okay, the first difference is the one part which is elongating. Second difference you can write about the cotyledons, and third difference you can write about the examples. Okay. Fine.
Okay, miss.
Okay. Then let's say about there is one more difference about the difference between bean and maize. Okay, so type of germination, both of them are showing are different. That's why you should understand that bean and maize differences also, it's a very important one. So if you consider both of them, then first of all, see, whenever you are studying the differences, it's like write down on the one side only. Okay, utilize the one side of the difference. Then it will be easier for you to remember, and you will not get even confused with it. Okay, so let's see. First, we talk about if the number of cotyledons. Okay, so beans have 2. Then definitely here it should be 1. Okay, then about endosperm. In bean, endosperm is not present, while maize have lot of endosperm in it. Okay, and let's see the difference about their embryo. It is very large. Let me write it. Large. Okay, then you can talk about the plumule. Okay. What happened with the plumule, that here it is little bit folded leaves. If you are observing the seeds carefully, then you can see all these things with your eyes. Okay, then if we talk about alum and micropyle, then it is clearly visible. Okay, so these are the differences you can write down for the bean and maize. So here, once you are thorough on this side, then you can write the differences over here also. That maize have 1 cotyledon, lot of endosperm is there, embryo is small, the leaves are not folded, basically they are rolled, and this one is not visible. Can I write like this?
Yes, miss.
Okay, see, in exams you can show the symbols. There you have to write in statements, but this is for your understanding. When you are preparing your notes, and when you are when you don't have enough time to write up the things, then you can definitely write down like this. And wherever there is something new, then only you can mention over the other side. Okay, so these are the basic difference between mean and maize, hypogeal, epigeal. Uh, till here, the basic germination chapter is over. Do you have any doubts? You want to ask me anything from the content of your book?
Miss, I have a doubt in viviparous germination. Miss, can
Ah,
you
that
explain?
Yes, yes, that topic I will be taking up right now. Okay, viviparous. Any other thing you want to ask me?
No, Miss, no other doubts.
No other doubts? Okay, fine. So the last one which will be seeing is that viviparous germination. Okay, now see this that viviparous. I think you must have gone through all these terms in your lower classes like oviparous, viviparous in animals, not in the plants. Have you heard about them? Have you with the animals? Have you heard oviparous, viviparous? Mm. If not, then let me know. I will describe it.
No, Miss.
No, fine. So viviparous, actually this term is basically for animals. It is not used in plants generally, but some plants are the exceptions. They are showing different type. That's why this term is being used. But basically, just understand this first of all, that if you talk about something about oviparous or viviparous, then what does that mean? That if we say the oviparous, that means the animals laying eggs. Okay, they are called oviparous. Egg laying animals are oviparous, while viviparous means the animals delivering babies. Okay, like humans. Humans are viviparous. Oviparous like hens, birds, okay, fishes, all those are oviparous. While viviparous, many of the mammals you can consider monkeys, any of the XYZ animals, donkey, cows, rest of other animals are viviparous. Have you understood this term?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, so oviparous, do remember ova, ov. Egg is basically called ova. Okay, so ova or ov, wherever the prefix come, that means egg laying animals, while vv means babies for humans and for other mammals. So let's see how it is relating to the plants, how this term can be utilized for the plants. Now see, some plants are very much special, or they show some different type of characteristics in them. So these plants are nothing but a group of mangrove. Okay, mangrove plants. Why they are different? First of all, because of their location. These are group of plants, and their location is basically on seaside. Okay, they are on the side, beaches, or they are where the very salty water is present. Okay, they grow where the water is very salty in nature, basically sea. Okay, so these types of plants are classified or grouped in one of the group that is called mangrove plants, And examples for them can be Rhizophora, or another one is given in your book, that is Soneraceae. Okay, but this one is very common, Rhizophora. It can be even seen if you visit the seasides. Okay, so these are all classified as a group of mangrove plants. They grow in a salty water. So these types of plants are called halophytes. These types of plants are called halophytes. Phytes means plants and halo means salty. Okay, so those plants which grow in the salty water, in the presence of salty water, that type of plant are called halophytes. And one of the major group for that is mangrove plants. In that, Rhizophora and Soneraceae are the examples. Are you clear with this?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so what happens with this plant is that whenever basically if these are the plant for it and they are like this, they are very much heavy structure, bended towards the water, and it's very much bushy structure. So what happens with them, that this fruit is hanging on them for, and they have seeds inside them. The fruits have seeds inside them. So what happens? The seed will start germinating inside the fruit when the fruit is still attached to the plants. Basically, normally what happens with other plants till now, whatever we have studied, that plant releases or drops the fruit. First of all, the fruit will fall on the ground and it will burst. It will release seeds on the ground, then all the seeds will germinate. Basically, this is happening, but not with this type of plant. What they do is, the fruit is still hanging, they are still attached to the parent. That means their origin. Now the seed will start germinating inside it. That means the plumule radicle will start elongating and all that is happening inside them. Once this germination starts, then this fruit will drop. Okay, that means then this fruit will drop, and then it is already having that growth of radicle and growth of plumule. Then what happens, this radicle and plumule will drop on it and it will start developing the roots, and then it will grow into the new plant. Is it clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so that is what these plants do. Okay, they will start their germination inside the fruit when fruit is still attached to the parent plant. The fruit is not detached. Okay, the fruit is not on the ground, it is still on the plant, and the germination has started. So that is why, because this type of germination is occurring, it is termed that they are delivering a baby. Okay, no germination is occurring on the ground, so they are delivering a baby basically. That's why this is called viviparous germination. Understood?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so this is how this viviparous germination occurs. And let me tell you one more important thing for these halophytes, that wherever these plants are present and the water is too salty for them, definitely if it is a seaside, it is very much muddy and it's very much slippery, something like that it should be. Then it is not dry, it is very, it's with lot of water it should be there. then these plants will develop their roots above the ground. That means after the roots will have some size, then the root will come out of the ground like this, and they have holes in them, pores in them. Okay, because the it's with too much of water is there, and it's too much muddy, the roots cannot breathe, so they will come out and they will take up the oxygen, for breathing. They will exchange the air. Is it clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay, this is just for your information. You don't have to remember it. Okay, but this is how the mangrove plants grow, because you are done with the experiments. So in that you have seen that necessity of oxygen. If oxygen is not there, then also the seeds will not grow. So that is what is happening with this plant, because lot of water is present on the surface. The roots cannot breathe, so they will come out of the earth surface. They have pores in them, they will exchange the air for their breathing. Understood?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So this is what the viviparous germination. Others are also getting me or not? Other students are able to hear me or not?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So you're getting me, na? You don't have any doubts?
No, miss.
Okay, fine. So let's see. Then last one, that is how the seedling is formed. Okay. So seedling, wherever, see, when we use the suffix like ling after a word, then it is related to somebody who is very young. You must have heard about these words like ducklings, the new ducks, the small babies are called ducklings. I think you must be aware of it.
Yes, miss, we know.
Okay, so this is how the seedling word is also there. That means young seeds which have started their germination. Okay, and when the germination ends, the seedling, the new plant which is formed, okay, when the growth is in the plants have been just started, that means the roots are ready to absorb the water, and the new plant, the new leaves, first two leaves are ready to synthesize the food. Then that stage, for that much period is called seedling. Understood?
Yes, miss.
Okay, that means roots are ready to absorb what? Water and minerals from the soil. Okay, and leaves start photosynthesis. Till then, that particular plant is called seedling. That means the germination process has been ended. The plant is completely independent now. It is not depending on the endosperm. It is not depending on the food which is stored in the seeds. Now it can synthesize its own food, and that stage is called seedling. Is it clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so till here this chapter is done. I'm asking you once again, anything which is to be asked by your side, anything from this chapter. or anything which I have missed, I have not taught you. Anything like this? Fine. See, now today what you have to do is go through the chapter thoroughly from the first page, first word to the last one. Okay. And in between you have some questions or some little small exercise also are given in your textbook. Am I right?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Solve them and read the text. Any of the word which we have missed or statement you have not understood or something which is still remaining, just ask me that in the next class, so that I can begin with the another chapter right now. Okay. Shall I begin with the another one?
Yes, miss. You can begin.
Yes, fine. Okay. Others can also answer me. Okay. So I think in your syllabus, the last time you have given, that is from SPS, I think I have received the syllabus. Am I right?
Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
Okay. So you got your dates for the exams?
Still now we have did not got, but the 9th of September our exam will start.
Okay, okay, fine. Probability is there. Okay. So let's see, as we know, just wait for a minute that we have you are done with the uh, cell, tissues, flowers, pollination and fertilization. And today we have completed seeds also. Okay. So all these chapters are done. The next one is respiration in plants. Right?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so we will be having this chapter today, respiration in plants. We will be beginning with this, and the next two are economic importance of bacteria and fungi and digestive system. Am I right? No, sorry, nutrition has to be done.
Miss nutrition.
Okay, so nutrition has to be done. See, today we will be beginning with the respiration in plants, and economic importance of bacteria and fungi is something like you can read and you can understand, but we will go for it after we finish the respiration in plants, because that one is very important and little bit lengthier too. Understood? So let's start with this, the respiration in plants. Okay, this chapter. You can have your textbooks with you. Ready for it? Shall I begin?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So, others are also ready?
Yes, miss.
Yes. Okay, fine. So, let's see about the term respiration. First of all, here also some of the experiments are there in your textbook. Okay, and I will try to explain them theoretically, because experiments are to be done, are the thing to be done in the labs. But right now the condition is that you have to go through the experiments with the theory. Okay, so we will try as much as possible for us. But see, if you the whatever experiments are given in your textbook from any of the chapter, you can see a good animated videos on it, just on the YouTube, or many of the apps are there in which these particular experiments are shown in the form of animation. There you can understand them, and because you can go through the theory from your text, and you can relate that with that particular experiment. Then it will be easier for you to understand when you visualize them. Okay.
Okay, miss.
Okay, so go through the theory first of all. First you understand the theory portion. If you have not understood, then only you go for that visualization, that video, so that will be much more clear to you. So let's see, begin with the respiration in plants. And I think you must have studied from the your lower classes, from class 5th, photosynthesis process. Okay. That means the plants make food in presence of sunlight, water, and chlorophyll. That process is called photosynthesis. Are you aware of this?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So now in this chapter, what we have to study is respiration, which is completely reverse process of photosynthesis. Why is it reverse? Because in photosynthesis, the plant synthesize the food. Okay, so synthesis of food occur in the process called photosynthesis. While in respiration, what happens? That it utilizes the food which is being synthesized. Okay, here it synthesizes the food, while here what is happening, it utilizes the food which is being synthesized. So it is completely a reverse process for the plants. Okay, now as we respire, we require oxygen and we release CO2. Same thing plants also do when they respire. Okay, basically till now you have understood that plant utilizes CO2 and it releases oxygen. This you have studied. Okay, from the day you have started with the photosynthesis, you till now you have studied that plant utilizes CO2 and it releases oxygen. But when it respires, then the process is being reversed. It also utilizes oxygen for a little bit and then it releases CO2. But this CO2 is not released in the environment, okay, directly. It is not like us, that the way we respire, it is something different in the plants. Okay, so you must have uh, studied that the photosynthesis occurs in leaves, green leaves. Okay, leaves are the location for the photosynthesis, and respiration can be done by each and every cell of the plant, and that is to be understood. And when it happens, I think you must have heard that at night The plant do the respiration, they utilizes oxygen and they releases CO2. That's why it is not good to sleep under the tree at night. Have you heard about this?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so somewhat some part of it is it's true, because plant also releases CO2, so it is not good to sleep under the tree at night, because you are also releasing carbon dioxide, they are also releasing carbon dioxide, so there will be a lack of oxygen in the surrounding environment can be the possibility. But it doesn't makes the difference much when the environment is completely open and completely pollution free. Okay, so let's see what we are studying right now with the help of respiration. That is, there are two types of respiration basically. One is aerobic and another one is anaerobic respiration. Have you heard about these words?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Let's see what are the basic difference for these type of respiration and how it is taking place. Let's do with this. We will cause it a screen. So if we talk about aerobic respiration, it is not wait. So let's see aerobic and anaerobic. Okay. So these type of respiration are there. Let's study in the form of difference. Okay, then it will be clear to you and you will be summarized for the chapter first of all. Okay, so let's begin with the look. It's their names, what they suggest to us. So first thing you have to understand that this aerobic, because aerobic means with the help of air, dependent on air, and basically if we use aerobic, it is not air, it is termed as oxygen. Okay, so this type of respiration is also known as oxybiotic. Okay, this is also named as oxybiotic respiration. I told you that if we talk about air, the out of all the gases which we are concentrating, that is oxygen. Okay, so living organisms require oxygen for respiration. That is why it is called oxybiotic. Is it clear to you now?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so here it should be opposite. Aerobic have the opposite anaerobic. Oxybiotic have the opposite anoxybiotic. Is it clear to you? In the absence of oxygen. Okay, so I will see on this side first, then we will be discussing this one. So that means it requires presence of oxygen is compulsory. Then only it can be termed as aerobic respiration or oxybiotic respiration. Is it clear to you? Presence of oxygen is must. Now see the location where it is happening. So see, this complete process you are studying in a cell. Okay, you don't have organs in the plants. Am I right? Fine. So let's see that we are talking about an individual cell. That cell requires the presence of oxygen, or presence of oxygen is must for cell if it has to undertake aerobic respiration. So location where this aerobic respiration occurs in the cell, like in human body, the location for respiration is lungs. Okay, respiratory system. And here the location is nothing but mitochondria. Okay, are you aware of this organelle?
Yes, miss.
Okay, powerhouse of the cell, you must have studied that mitochondria is the location where this type of respiration takes place. Okay, now as we know that in the beginning we have seen that it utilizes the food. Okay, so what is happening in this process is it completely breaks down the glucose. In this process, what is happening? Complete breakdown of glucose is happening over here. I think you are clear with C6H12O6. This is glucose.
Yes, miss.
Okay, so complete breakdown means carbon has to be carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, all of them are separated, they are utilized by the body. That is why it is called complete breakdown uh, of the glucose. That is why we say it utilizes the food. The food is nothing but the starch, and starch is made up of glucose. So complete breakdown of glucose occurs in this process. I'm going very calmly. Are you getting me what I'm saying?
Yes, miss. We are getting you.
Okay. So next one is let's talk about end products. See, as we know that once this respiration ends, or if you completely break down the glucose, then what you obtain from it? You obtain carbon dioxide and oxygen from it. Okay, you get both of them. CO2 also is received and oxygen is also received. Okay, so these are the end products of the reaction. Now, what is happening at the in this? That how much energy is sorry, how much energy is obtained? That is 38 ATP molecules. This much huge quantity of energy is obtained when one glucose is utilized. Can you understand how much amount of energy you are obtaining from one glucose? It is 38 ATP molecules. It's a very big number. Do you understand by ATP?
Means the energy currency of cell.
Yes, currency of the cell or It's an energy molecule of the cell. Okay, so what do you mean by ATP is? ATP is nothing but adenosine triphosphate, full form of ATP. Okay, so adenosine triphosphate. It is this type of molecule. Triphosphate means 3 phosphates are there with it. Okay, ATP. This type of molecules are in 38 in number and they release huge amount of energy for the body. Okay.
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So, and this type of process occurs throughout the life in the organism. That means in plants. Throughout the life it takes place. This process doesn't stop. Understood?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So, now see. So, once you are done with the aerobic part, then let's see for the anaerobic. Definitely its opposite should be there. First, it is called N-oxybiotic. Okay, N-oxybiotic. Then oxygen is not required, not necessary. Okay, here presence of oxygen is compulsory and here it is not necessary. Then you go for the location. It takes place in cytoplasm. Okay. Then here complete breakdown of glucose is occurring in aerobic, while here it is incomplete. Okay. Then end products. Here the end products are formed carbon dioxide and oxygen, while here is formed ethyl alcohol and CO2. Okay, ethyl alcohol and CO2. Here number of energy molecules are only 2. Fine. Have you understood what I said?
Yes, miss.
Anything to be asked from this?
No, miss, no doubts.
Okay, fine. So these are the aerobic and other. See, I am asking to you all. You even one girl is there. Is she is there?
No, miss, all are boys.
Okay, fine. All are boys. Okay, okay, fine. So rest of others also can answer me. If you feel shy, then just let me know once that you are getting me what I am saying, because I am going with a very slow pace right now because the chapter is new to you. Fine, it's okay. Yeah, if you see, this is the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So in plants, this type of respiration occurs, and here it, I said, throughout the life it occurs. While it occurs for the short period, then it stops, then again it if it is required, then only it will continue. Okay, so anaerobic is a, even in our body anaerobic respiration is there. Okay, in our body also we have anaerobic respiration, and our muscles are responsible for it. Our muscles do the anaerobic respiration. If you want to experience that, you can just do one thing, that you, or you can experience it, or you can observe it, that if you hold the cup in your hand for a longer duration, then after some time you feel like keeping it down, you feel like not holding it. Okay, because when you are holding that cup, your muscles get contracted, and when they contract, they do anaerobic respiration. Okay, and due to that, lot of alcohol is being generated within these muscles, and they get tired. That's why you feel like keeping it as soon as possible. So every muscle in our body also show the anaerobic respiration. When you walk too much, your legs pain, your muscles pain. Reason, they have lot of anaerobic respiration in them. Okay, and another part is that your eyes, because nowadays you are in with the touch of your mobile phone, or your screen time is being increased. The reason your eyes feel tired sometimes, because your eyes are completely wide open when you are watching the screen, and their muscles get contracted for a longer duration, and it starts producing alcohol. That's why you feel like closing your eyes, pressing it, or washing it. So that is why, that is how the anaerobic respiration also occurs in human bodies, and it also occurs in the plants. Are you clear? Have you understood this?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so here till here just understand this, and the rest of the part of this chapter we will be continuing in the next class. You have a school right now.
No, miss, we don't have
At
today.
8 o'clock you don't have the school lectures?
Miss, except Monday, from Monday to Friday we have a school at 8.
Okay, so it's Sunday you don't have it.
No, miss. Sunday we don't have.
Okay, okay, fine. So till here, if it is okay for you, then uh, shall I go for more?
Yes, miss, you
Or
can.
is fine for you? It's okay. For rest of the others, are you ready, or you feel sleepy or something like that?
Yes, miss, you can do more.
Okay, fine. We can proceed. So let me take little bit of it. Okay, I will not take too much of it. Just a small portion I will consider. I think you must have heard the word stomata.
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So stomata are nothing but they are the nose of plants. Okay, and they are present in leaves. Okay, so they are the holes from where oxygen from exchange of gases can take place. So see this, that if we consider the if this is the leaf, suppose, and this is the upper surface of leaf, at this region you can see so many stomata on its surface, and if you see it under the microscope, then it can be seen something like this under the microscope. Okay, so this is the uh, pore or hole, or you can name it as stoma. Stoma is nothing but pore, or you can name it as hole. Okay, so this is the space from where the exchange of gases takes place, CO2 and O2. For photosynthesis, transpiration you have studied, or you know, you must have heard the process of transpiration. Okay, so stomata are called the noses of the leaves or the plants, through which exchange of gases occurs. Now understand this, these types of pores are also present on the trunk of the tree. Okay, they are termed differently at that place, that you don't have to understand, but these types of pores on even the trunk of the tree surface, and all these pores are responsible for exchange of gases whatever the plants are producing. So this much you have to study, and uh, for the experiments you must have last time I must have told you that when you store the fresh seeds in a jar, okay, if you store them, then after some time the jar, if you keep it for overnight, the jar become little bit moist or little bit humid inside. You can see the water droplets. Okay, because the plant seeds are utilizing the oxygen present in the jar. Okay, and they are releasing CO2, and due to that you can see little bit of water droplets or uh, uh, evaporation like thing can be seen. So that is for the fresh seeds if you store them. Okay, so this type of thing you can observe at your home. That is a very simple thing to observe. Or every not even the seeds, all the things, if you are storing fruits at your home, if after a while you can see that sometimes they are little bit moist at their bottom space, and sometimes they show you some smelly or puffy structures. All things are happening just because of respiration. So we will see this in the next class. How is it happening? How the respiration process is continuing in the plant or plant parts. Understood this?
Yes, miss.
Okay. And just do one thing. That you just send me this chapter on the group.
Miss, this respiration.
Yes, by you clicking it or doing whatever method is
Okay, miss.
there. Okay, just do one thing. Just send it to me, uh, because the one publication which I am having is not same as your book. Okay, so just send it to me, then I will see it.
Okay, miss.
Okay, fine. So have a good day. You can leave now.